The moment her fingers slipped into mine, I thought it was an accident. The movie theater was dark, the screen glowing with soft blue light, and the crowd around us was completely silent. I felt her hand brush against mine on the armrest. Then, instead of moving away, her fingers gently wrapped around my hand and stayed there. My heart stopped. For years, she had been my best friend. The one person who knew every version of me. The one person who stayed when everyone else walked away. And somehow, in that dark theater, while a love story played on the screen, the biggest story of my life was unfolding right beside me. Before we begin, if you believe kindness deserves a second chance and that some friendships are worth fighting for, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone special, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories. I wish I could say our story started with romance. It didn't. It started with heartbreak. I met Emma during my first year of college. I was awkward, broke, and completely lost. Most students arrived with confidence and plans for their future. I arrived with uncertainty and a backpack that looked older than I was. The first person who ever sat next to me in class was Emma. She smiled and introduced herself as if we'd known each other for years. That simple act changed everything. Within weeks, we became inseparable. We studied together, ate together, and spent countless evenings walking around campus talking about life. There was never any pressure between us. No games. No pretending. She became the person I called when something amazing happened. She also became the person I called when everything fell apart. Over time, people started asking if we were dating. We always laughed it off. The truth was complicated. Maybe everyone else could see something we couldn't. Or maybe we were simply too afraid to admit what was growing between us. Life moved quickly after graduation. Emma found a good job. I struggled. While she climbed upward, I stumbled through temporary jobs and endless rejections. I smiled whenever she talked about her achievements, but privately I felt ashamed of myself. The gap between us seemed to grow larger every year. Then she met someone. A successful man named Ryan. He was everything I wasn't. Confident. Wealthy. Charming. The day she told me about him, I forced a smile and congratulated her. That night, I sat alone in my apartment staring at the ceiling until sunrise. For the first time, I admitted something I had hidden from myself for years. I loved her. Not as a friend. Not as a sister. I loved her with every part of my heart. But it was too late. So I buried those feelings and kept pretending. Months passed. Then years. Emma and Ryan became serious. I remained the supportive best friend. The role was painful, but losing her entirely felt worse. One rainy evening she called me unexpectedly. The moment I heard her voice, I knew something was wrong. She sounded broken. Ryan had left. After years together, he had simply walked away. No explanation could erase the damage. No apology could undo the pain. I drove across the city that night. When she opened the door, her eyes were swollen from crying. For several minutes neither of us spoke. Then she collapsed into my arms. And I stood there holding her while her heart shattered. The months that followed were difficult. She struggled. Some days she couldn't stop crying. Other days she tried to convince herself she was fine. I never left. If she needed groceries, I helped. If she needed someone to listen, I listened. If she needed silence, I sat quietly beside her. People often talk about love as grand gestures. But real love sometimes looks like showing up repeatedly when nobody notices. Slowly, Emma began healing. The sadness faded little by little. Her laughter returned. Her smile became genuine again. For the first time in years, we started spending more time together. Just like old days. Movie nights. Coffee shops. Long walks. Late-night conversations. Yet something felt different. Something neither of us could explain. One autumn afternoon we visited a small lake outside the city. The trees were painted in shades of gold and orange. The air felt cool and peaceful. We sat on a wooden dock watching sunlight dance across the water. Neither of us spoke for a long time. Then she leaned her head against my shoulder. My entire body froze. It was a simple gesture. But it felt enormous. Neither of us mentioned it afterward. Yet from that day forward, the distance between us seemed to disappear. I started noticing small things. The way she looked at me when she thought I wasn't paying attention. The way she remembered every detail I told her. The way her face brightened whenever I arrived. For years I had convinced myself these things meant nothing. Now I wasn't so sure. Still, fear kept me silent. Because friendship is precious. And risking it felt terrifying. What if I confessed my feelings and lost her forever? What if I had misunderstood everything? So I said nothing. And life continued. Then came the movie night. The night that changed everything. It wasn't supposed to be special. Just another Friday. Just another film. Just another evening with my best friend. The theater was nearly full. The movie itself was about two lifelong friends who slowly realized they loved each other. Ironically, neither of us acknowledged the obvious similarities. Halfway through the film, I felt her hand touch mine. At first I assumed it was accidental. But then her fingers intertwined with mine. Gentle. Intentional. Certain. My pulse raced. I stared at the screen without seeing any of it. Every emotion I had hidden for years suddenly rushed to the surface. Fear. Hope. Confusion. Love. Most of all, love. The movie ended 2 hours later. The credits rolled. People stood and began leaving. The lights brightened. Still, she didn't let go. We walked out together. Still holding hands. Across the parking lot. Still holding hands. Toward my car. Still holding hands. Finally, I looked down at our fingers intertwined together. Then I looked at her. Her eyes met mine. Neither of us smiled. Neither of us spoke. The moment felt too important for words. For years we had hidden behind friendship. For years we had avoided the truth. And now the truth stood directly in front of us. The silence lasted only seconds. But it felt like an eternity. Then tears appeared in her eyes. Not tears of sadness. Tears of relief. The kind of tears that come when you've carried something heavy for too long. She took a deep breath. And in that moment, I understood. Before either of us said anything, I already knew. She had been afraid too. Afraid of losing me. Afraid of ruining what we had. Afraid of wanting more. Just like me. All those years, we had been standing on opposite sides of the same fear. The realization hit me harder than anything else. How many people spend their lives searching for love while ignoring the person who has been beside them all along? How many opportunities disappear because fear speaks louder than the heart? That night, everything changed. Not instantly. Not magically. But honestly. We stopped pretending. We stopped hiding. We stopped acting like our feelings were invisible. The transition from friendship to love wasn't dramatic. It felt natural. As if we had simply arrived at a destination we had been traveling toward for years. The strongest relationships are often built on friendship first. Trust already existed. Respect already existed. Understanding already existed. Love simply grew where those things had already taken root. Months later, Emma told me something that I'll never forget. She said the reason she held my hand during the movie wasn't because of the story on the screen. It was because she suddenly realized she couldn't imagine another day of her life pretending she didn't love me. She had spent years waiting for the perfect moment. Then she realized perfect moments rarely arrive. Sometimes you have to create them. And that simple decision changed both our lives. Today, when I think back to that dark theater, I don't remember the movie. I don't remember the ending. I don't even remember what happened on the screen. What I remember is a hand reaching for mine. A quiet act of courage. A small choice that altered an entire future. If this story has touched your heart so far, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like these remind us that love often arrives quietly, disguised as friendship, patience, and loyalty. And before we reach the end, I have a special request for you. Please comment below, some hearts are worth waiting for. I'd love to know how many of you believe true love can begin with friendship. Years have passed since that movie night. Life hasn't been perfect. We've faced challenges. We've experienced losses. We've navigated uncertainty together. But through every season, one thing has remained constant. Whenever life becomes difficult, Emma reaches for my hand. And I hold hers. Because the greatest love stories aren't always about dramatic beginnings. Sometimes they're about two people who keep showing up for each other until one day they realize they've already found home. And every now and then, when we sit together watching a movie, I glance down at our intertwined fingers and smile. Because she never let go when the movie ended. And thankfully, she never let go afterward either. That single moment taught me something I'll carry forever. The people who truly belong in your life are often already there. Sometimes all it takes is one brave act, one honest moment, and one hand reaching across the darkness to change everything. And that is how my best friend became the love of my life.